and great to have you back to Vent TV. I'm your host Mallas, and once again we're bringing you a variety of stories for your viewing pleasure. We're starting out with X-ray Specs with Remy, who's looking into the social issues facing older queers, I should say. I'll be watching intently so I know what I'm in for. Take it away, Remy.
Hello, tonight on X-Ray Specs we are continuing our series about community elders. Now I thought it was time that we spoke to a couple of experts, and so I've got Heather Birch and Paul Martin with us today. Thank you very much for coming along. Now Heather, you are the author of Dementia, Lesbians and Gay Men. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that was an exciting opportunity that Alzheimer's Australia gave me back in 2009 to develop a paper that would hopefully lead to discussion across Australia about some of the issues that people living with dementia face if they're part of the LGBTI community. Okay,
so you did some serious research there. And then Paul, tell me a little bit about, you're the National LGBTI Officer for Care Connect, is that correct?
That's right. So Care Connect is a community care provider, which means that we help people to stay at home and living in the community. And my role is to assist Care Connect to be LGBTI inclusive across all of their sites, both here in Melbourne and also in New South Wales and Victoria.
Okay, and I believe that they're a not-for-profit organisation, is that correct?
That's right, not-for-profit organisation and a secular organisation as well, so not coming from a religious background, which is important in the aged care sector when the majority of aged care in Australia is provided by religious-based organisations.
Yeah, right. This is no place for older atheists. So look, we're a bit short on time, so we'll go straight into it. Now, which are the circumstances or tasks that you might find yourself experiencing as you get older where you might need support?
Well, some of them are just basic activities of everyday life, doing your housework, cooking your meals, perhaps showering, going to the toilet as you start to become a little bit more dependent. And then if you have dementia, you start forgetting a few things like taking your medication, just things where you need a little bit of help just to keep living day by day. Sometimes too you might become a little bit more isolated, may not be able to drive anymore or even use public transport, so there needs to be some way of continuing to connect with people, and sometimes you need help to do those things.
Okay, and so when you do need help, well, quite often the support mechanism that's thought of is the family. But for LGBTI people, who is the family?
Well, we know that about 20% of LGBTI people have children, so for some people it will be their children or perhaps grandchildren, but generally speaking many most LGBTI people don't have children or grandchildren. So we're talking about partners who may themselves be old or ageing and may be in need of some care and support services themselves, or it might be the extended friendship network, so what we call families of choice, so people who are around us who can help out in times of difficulty. So you can't rely on the fact that there will be a biological family around you,
right.
And that family of choice may or may not be in a position to provide the care and support that you need.
Okay, beautiful. What were some of the reasons that people didn't have their biological family involved?
Well, sometimes it's because there's been complete rejection by the biological family. Once you've come out as gay or lesbian, families said, well, we don't want to know you. Or there may have been other issues that have come up and families have just drifted apart.
Yeah.
Or if you're in the community, perhaps the members of your family of choice may have died. AIDS took a lot of people away from people's networks.
Yeah, that did, because who is the generation that's, I mean, what age group are we talking about, people who are in aged care at the moment?
Well, look, eligibility for aged care is 65 and above, or 55 for Aboriginal Islander people. But generally speaking, it's the older population, the 75, 85% plus, who are most highest users of the more higher level aged care packages. But really it is individual, so it does depend on a person's circumstances and health status as to what level of care they need.
Okay, so the people that are in residential care at the moment, I mean, some of them, as you said, are in that sort of 75 to 80 age group. I mean, nowadays, you know, you can go on YouTube and look up gay this and gay queer that and lesbian this. That generation, what kind of sort of environment did they grow up in, Heather?
Well, a very, very isolated environment. There's a very big difference between your private space, which was usually at home, with your own friends, people you chose to be with, and then what you may be thrown into, whether you're receiving care at home with all these strangers coming in and being part of your home, or whether you're having to actually live with a whole lot of other people in congregate care in an aged care facility. There's not that private space anymore. There isn't that opportunity to just be yourself without worrying about somebody perhaps judging you, censoring you, discriminating against you, viewing you as just, well, not very nice person, actually.
Yeah, well, because I certainly have visited gay men, and their whole apartment is like, nude men, and so it basically, if anyone was coming into their home, they would have to pack everything up. Now, how important do you think, and I'll ask Paul first, but we'll get to both of you. How important is it to keep a sense of self-identity when you are receiving support, and how does privacy play into that?
Well, certainly the main focus of support for elders, and certainly at Care Connect, is to allow people to live their life. So whatever life they choose to live, to provide them with the support so that they can live their life in the way that they want to. So if people want to retain a connection to the LGBTI community, whether that's seeing LGBTI friends or reading LGBTI media or going out to pride festivals or events, then we can support people to maintain that contact and be who they are. Certainly in the way in which we organise care and involve the families of choice or the carers with them, then that does involve their partner or their friends. So whoever they want to be involved in their care, we make sure that they're involved in helping support the care of that person.
Yeah, okay, and I guess it's different when you, because Care Connect tries to keep you outside of residential care. What about the research that you did? How do you get privacy in a residential facility?
Well, sometimes with great difficulty.
Yeah.
If you actually need a lot of support with things that you're doing on a daily basis, things like showering, bathing, going to the toilet, privacy is almost out the door. And some of the people I've talked to have actually found their standard of care has slipped or dropped considerably when a care worker has discovered, what a terrible word, that person is gay or lesbian, and suddenly there's this fear of touching, so maybe you're not dried so well after you've been showered, which then leads to other issues around healthcare, often just based on really poor knowledge from the carer's perspective.
Yeah, okay, and so it's basically it's coming through ignorance that
And sometimes someone having been brought up with a whole lot of perhaps religious values and morals of their own that they don't see can be maintained in their own life, but shouldn't actually impact on their ability to provide good care to whoever they're caring for.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Paul, for you, when you, obviously you're trying to get LGBTI-friendly people to help support, but what's the kind of stories that you get back from when they do go to a care group or something like that, the reactions that other people have towards them being LGBTI?
We wouldn't want to generalise about everyone, but it is the fact that the older the person gets, the more likely they are to have some problems with homosexuality and transgender issues. So we know from research done in the early 2000s that over 50% of over 65s believe that homosexuality is immoral. That compares to 35% of the general population. So that is an issue. What the response of the other residents or the other people in support groups is going to be. So that's why some LGBTI people would prefer to receive an LGBTI specific service, or at least have the choice to be able to go to some LGBTI support groups, as well as being able to go to the general community support groups and activities as well.
Okay, look, we are running out of time, but I just wanted to, there was one of the case studies that I read that I thought was quite interesting about somebody who was transsexual and then had a moment of dementia. Tell me a bit more about that.
There are major issues around care for anyone who's trans. There can be service providers not bothering to maintain the person's gender identity, and there can be issues around perhaps memory getting in the way of remembering that post-operative changes to the body may mean it's a little different to go to the toilet. So usually that's about just reassuring a person, helping them to do whatever they need to do, and just understanding that memory changes, and it can be a problem.
Must be very difficult waking up and forgetting that you're queer. Look, thank you very much. We're running out of time now, but we will get you back here in a couple of weeks. But look, thank you very much for joining us here on X-Ray Specs. Next week we'll speak to somebody who actually has a partner who's living with dementia. So come see us then.
Thank you, Remy. Always insightful. Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back after this short break. You're watching Bent TV, and now we're going to play hide and seek with Dean Beck, who's taking us into the world of the Chargers, the Melbourne gay rugby team. So hopefully we'll be in for some tight shorts and long socks. Here's Dean now.
Hide and seek.
Melbourne Chargers Awards Night for 2012, and the most improved player for the year is Joel Anderson. Joel, congratulations.
Thanks.
You have gone from being someone that had never played rugby 12 months ago to being a bit of a star recruit.
What, it'll be about 12 months since I joined, so that's pretty much it.
Well, the coach had some pretty kind words to say about you, so I think that's pretty clever.
It wasn't like that when I first started, though.
This year, 2012, the best forward is Luke Chapman. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What is the position of forward? Describe that for me.
I've been best described on the blunt instrument.
You're the thug, right?
Basically, I get past the ball and I just run forward and hit other men of my size.
Let's have a look at the trophy.
There we go.
Congratulations,
Thank
Luke.
you.
Well done.
My father, back in New Zealand, wouldn't let me play soccer. He made me play rugby until I was 17, and then had a couple of years off and started playing again when I was in London. And then when I moved to Melbourne, I thought, well, what's a great way of meeting really great people, and that's how I got tied up with the Chargers. So I've got a great group of mates now.
They're just down at Albert Park every Tuesday, Thursday, and I thought, I'd go check it out. So got in contact with them. They did a bit of new players come in, and I think it was the 20th of November last year. So I just joined up. I was the only one to turn up there, the new one. So I got partnered with Chapo. So Luke, he just won Best Forward. And started going through things. And by the end of my first session, I'd pretty much gone, hell, I want to do this every week. Yeah.
Wow. It's not just about having fun, but they want to have that camaraderie, drink together, chat together. We respect each other and really want to put the effort in and play some good rugby.
Now, apart from the serious awards here at the Melbourne Chargers 2012 Awards Night, there's some fun ones too. And this year, the best off-field performance went to a Welsh national who knows a bit about rugby. Antony Brooks, congratulations on receiving the best off-field performance for the year.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to explain for us why you received the best off-field performance?
As part of Melbourne Unicorns, we had the annual event of Miss Unicorn, and each team, of which there are 7, had to nominate one player to get up on stage and present like a Miss World pageant. Getting dressed up wasn't something I do regularly.
Did you shave?
I actually shaved my beard, but the rest of the hair was still there. Sculled 5 pints of lager in a row, didn't throw up, which I thought was quite impressive.
Yeah, nice one.
And it was pretty good. And then proceeded to answer questions as usual, and I was very, very surprised because even though we've recently joined Melbourne Unicorn, we weren't too sure how it would be taken. And
especially as the gay team in a straight coat.
Exactly. And I didn't want to win the pageant because I was gay. I wanted to win it because
you were fabulous.
Amazing.
Jason, when you decided to do this and take on board this momentous task, did you have any idea that you would be on every newspaper, every television station, blanket coverage?
No, I had no idea. I think it was Thursday when I had the opportunity to speak to Jill Stark from The Age, and then Thursday night a few journalists rocked up to footy training to take some photos, and I think a few of my players, my teammates were like, what's this all about? And I'm like, I'm coming out on Sunday. They're like, can we be in the photo? Who's one of the guys who was sitting next to me in the photo that appeared in The Age, texted me on the day, and he's like, my mom's really proud that I'm in the paper and it's not for going to jail. Really? Part of the petition that we launched, I was sort of calling for people to share their stories as well, to really demonstrate to, I guess, the AFL that it was really only the tip of the iceberg, that there are so many other people out there who are going through this, who are in sport, especially in AFL, and some of the most heartbreaking stuff that I read were people who stopped playing because they couldn't take the homophobic culture. And, I guess being here tonight, which I'm really proud to be, it makes me really proud to know that clubs like the Melbourne Chargers exist to really create that environment and get people involved in sport.
One of the new awards for 2012 is for the highest points scored throughout the year. The recipient of this award for 2012 is Derryn Pert. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Derryn, what did you do to win this? I mean, tries. I'm just thinking goals. You don't get goals, do you?
No, tries. No. Scored the most tries, and most of them were all in Bingham.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on international too.
It was.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it was very exciting. I mean, it was the first time this year I've actually played rugby before. And
hang on a minute.
Yeah.
How can you be the best point scorer and never have played rugby before?
I just know how to run. I can run really fast.
Now, but you're not a big guy, and some of these guys are huge.
Yeah, that's why you've got to duck and weave out of the way.
Chloe achieved the goal that we've been working on 2 years to represent Melbourne at the Bingham Cup tournament in Manchester.
What did it mean to be a part of the Bingham Cup for 2012 in Manchester?
It was such a rush. It was an amazing experience just to be with, seeing the diversity within rugby, within the gay community for rugby. It was just an absolute rush for the whole, certainly the 3 days of playing and definitely the lead up to it. It was just a great party atmosphere as well as some really great rugby to be playing. So
the success that we had in Bingham was phenomenal, and we were the underdogs there. Nobody expected anything from the Chargers, and the Spartans, who have been around for a lot of years, and many other teams just looked down and went, wow. And I'm glad to be a part of the team that was able to do that.
It's the fun and the friends, which is what I love about it, which is why you're investing in the time to go to training two nights a week in the middle of a Melbourne winter when it's cold and dark and bloody raining and all of that, and then playing it on the weekend. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it.
Well, I hope that was a treat for all you sporting fans. And if you feel like dropping us a line to tell us just how much you're enjoying the show, please send us an email to feedback@benttv.org.au, and you can like us by going to facebook.com/benttv. We'll be right back. You're tuned to Bent TV, and we're heading into our last but by no means least segment, In the Thick of It with Sammi. And Sammy's guest is once again the very passionate Daniel Witthaus, who is attempting to challenge homophobia one cuppa at a time. Let's join Sammi and Daniel for some refreshments.
You're on Bent TV. I'm Sammi Whitehead, and I'm joined by Daniel Witthaus. Welcome to Bent, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, you've done so much amazing work over the years, with over 16 years being a great advocate for the GLBTI community. Your first book, Beyond That So Gay, was such a fantastic success, aimed at challenging homophobia within the Australian school system. You've now gone on to finally being able to release your second book, or in the process of releasing it. Now, that was an amazing journey for you, spending nearly 270 days travelling around Australia. Let us know a little bit about how that came about.
Yeah, look, what a lot of people don't know is that I've spent many years probably doing more work in regional rural Australia than I have in metro areas. For some reason, country Victoria in particular, and then country Australia really took this work under their wing, saying we've got an issue with homophobia. We really feel like we don't know what to do about it. How can you help us with that? Because I had some early success of working with an all-boys Catholic school in the country area, people got very excited, and that kind of gave me some cred, I guess, that they thought, well, if you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. The idea was to repeat some work that was done by Rodney Croom, for those who know about him, and work he did for the Human Rights Commission 10 years, or it would be 12 years now, ago, where he went to particular regional rural areas and said, we need to work out why so many gay and bisexual young men are killing themselves, and why they're doing it in greater numbers than heterosexual young people. What he found from that limited tour that he did was that there was so much more that could be done. And so I was talking with him for years and years about that, and we were frustrated that there was no follow-up to that, because we all know that the work needs to be done and everyone says it needs to be done, but no one was doing it. And then I took the some say insane step of saying, I'm going to drive around this country and I'm not going to leave anywhere out. So instead of going to and from places, I want to do a one-man road show and drive around the whole country, every single state and territory, remote Indigenous communities, mining towns, all the places I was told not to go. I was begged not to go to Kalgoorlie or Mount Isa, for example.
Yes.
And to work with each of those communities and to spend a week with them, and just to see what the opportunities were, what were the things that were working, what were the things that were not, and just found out that there were so many great stories to be told outside of the city centres.
What was one of that you've come back from that now, and then being able to sit down and write the memoirs of that amazing journey? What would you say was one of the most confronting things that you experienced while you're on that journey?
The confronting thing, the most confronting thing, I think, was the absolute isolation. So what people were saying was that they felt like they were the lone voice. We hear about the only gay in the village.
Yes.
This is like, I'm the only gay-friendly voice in the village. And in so many places people said, I feel like homophobia is this overwhelming, dominant voice, and everyone's, a part of this collective homophobic voice. I'm one lone quiet voice, and I'm not sure I can really do anything useful in relation to that or in response to that. And so what my idea was to collect all of those stories and get people in the town talking, so all of a sudden all of these lone voices would be talking together, and I'd say, oh, actually maybe there is something we can do, maybe there are some seeds that we can plant and we can grow this thing, as opposed to I'm sitting by myself. And that was the most exciting thing, was that there were always people to talk to, even though people said, oh look, no one's going to talk to you in that place or that place. Every single location I went to, there were people to talk to, and new conversations happened so that I could leave, and rather than it being focused on me and my work, I could leave people having conversations with some resources, and that they could then build on that. Of course, I haven't been able to go back to those because of resources, because it was a self-funded tour. It was something I decided that I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to do it on the smell of an oily rag, and I managed to get around it. So, yeah.
Being able to turn, as you said, that whisper into a shout, and be able to realise that the communities and the people within those communities have the ability to be able to provide that support themselves. And I suppose the other thing is that's the one thing we do here within being involved within GLBTI media organisations, is there so many people that have that isolation, the importance of organisations like Bent TV and Joy 94.9 providing that support for people.
Yeah, because it's really easy over time to, I guess, sit and get stuck in the bubble and forget that there is outside of the bubble.
Yes.
And that was one of the key things that I found going around the country, was that unless you're inside of that bubble, and or you've won the genetic and social lottery, life is not great for you, and you can expect life to be similar to what it would be 10 years ago. So comparing Rodney Croom's work with mine, that was quite sobering, but it was also possible to see that there had been changes, but we need to realise that that's inside the bubble, and the bubble has grown, but we need to really turn our attention to what's happening outside of those bubbles in the city.
So the result of this journey was after Priscilla?
Yeah, so one of the things is if you're a gay man driving around the country talking about gay stuff in country Australia, people say, how are you going to do that? You're driving around with a bus with a shoe on top. It's going to be like Priscilla.
Exactly.
Like I say, the people, funny once, funny twice, funny for 266 days, 5 times a day.
No.
Not so much. But it got me thinking that after Priscilla is a real idea for me, because if our only cultural reference point for gay stuff in the bush is Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which is almost 20 years ago that was made, why haven't we moved on collectively in our thoughts about what are the possibilities for outside of the of the city areas, and actually rather than us thinking about what might it be like, I wanted to go around and collect stories and go, I'm going to go and find out. And people said, are you leaving from Sydney? And I said, no, I'm leaving from regional Australia. I'm leaving from Geelong, and I'll leave Sydney Sydney and Melbourne to last, because we need to hear from all the other voices around the country, not just the ones on the East Coast and the metro centres that we always hear from, as much as I love you all.
So to find out some more information about the amazing work you've done, and also about After Priscilla, your fantastic second book, where do we go?
Go to thatsogay.com.au, and you can find out everything that's going on, not only with the second book but the first book. And there are free resources, there's stories, there's blogs, there's YouTube videos. So please, if you're bored, you've got nothing else to do, get on down.
And you need to know where to go for some support, or to provide support for people. Daniel, thank you so much for joining me. I've been Sammi Whitehead, he's been Daniel Witthaus, you're on Bent TV.
Sadly, that brings us to the end of another show. But don't be too sad, as we'll see you again next week. Remember to hop onto our website, benttv.org.au, and think about joining us to be part of the magic that is Bent TV. We are always on the lookout for volunteers to help with anything from research to fluffing. Well, maybe not fluffing. And while you were there, you can also watch some of your favourite episodes again. See you next time.